Welcome, it's the Crypto Sniper, and we are back with you. That's right, keeping you up to date in this right here, the silent, slowly growing and building, turning of the crypto markets that we have said reverted bullish, and that the 15,600 low that you saw in and around this period over here was in fact the final low, as part and parcel of an inverted head and shoulders. That's right, the inverted head and shoulders looking something like that, with your 25,000 neckline that we've discussed many times before, being the bookmarking end to a far larger structure, which we had multitudes for and necklines for, that started the bear market. In fact, there was a number of nestled head and shoulders within certain aspects of those localized highs on many other occasions. We don't want to deep dive too far on this. We want to highlight to you that is typical, and occasionally you get an alt front runner. We've actually just come off a very good month from XRP. However, XRP the last week been a little bit off, given we're kind of waiting for news on the SEC and nothing came. It got joined on the naughty step by a whole swathe of other cryptos, but the positivity of that we reinforced in previous videos was that it's going to force clarity. Since then, we've had some news about Uber whales, BlackRock, and everybody else now coming for crypto. Of course, we've warned and told you that the status tokens should not be ignored, but you've got to wait till they are technically flagging that they are ready, for which we've spoken a lot about the XRP side. But Bitcoin is your driver and your early visitor. So the key moves on Bitcoin that we have given you were the following, and I'm going to take you into the lower time frames, but it was a technical run while we're still on this big time. Just below 20K, buy in the 19.9s for a major move and a right shoulder bottoming for a subsequent triggering event. You got an incredibly strong move all the way up from the 99s, well through the 25, and a really robust breaking. Then everybody charged in later, only to run into the grind and a lengthy sustained pullback. That's the frustration of being a momentum chaser. You are too late to moves, and you get in at localized highs or near localized highs. You only have a small amount of profit come your way, and then you end up in sustained pullback periods. You would have had to, from this point over here, the final high that was in and around the 31K, you would have had to sit tough for quite an extended period. So if we have a look at that, that was the month of April 23, around Monday, beginning that week. We are on a weekly chart, not the month. The 10th of April, you would have been long all of April, all of May, and half of June, to still be a little bit lower. But what has happened more recently? We said to you, there will be, as it's advanced, there's a distinct possibility of the 25K being run. And as we move closer to this, we said that has now become our overriding probability, and that it would be a short technical run. You can buy in again at 24.8, just on a technical run of the 25K. You should be watching, you should be setting your alerts. How would you be doing now? 28,000 right now, 164. You would have bought in 24 8s and 9s. That means you would be sitting on 3,000 plus of appreciation on your Bitcoin holdings. Why Bitcoin? Well, we've spoken of accumulating for your investment pot. XRP plus our hidden special star for the 60x. XRP we've got down in the macro bull market of doing at least 33 times. What actually is going to happen overall on that investment pot? We're very confident, but it's going to take some time. In the meantime, trading inside our community, we said Bitcoin typically runs, apart from the odd alt, the flagging is first in Bitcoin. So we're going to go into our Bitcoin dominance today. We're going to go into the lower time frames on Bitcoin, and we're going to flush out the truth behind the fact that Bitcoin is in a bull market and it is going unnoticed. As everyone talks about AI and Nvidia and everything else, the currency that will be running with that, the CBDCs, the cryptos that will be needed to work in conjunction with everything that will come with AI or metaverse and the new world, will come back, and people are sleeping on this market. So let's get straight to it on the lower time frames. Let's take you in via the daily. You will see that this is actually a beautiful and quite robust move. If we put our markers in, we highlighted both on our Twitter feed, are you following the Crypto Sniper? that this was squeezing downwards, too much compression. There was a lot of SEC FUD that was bringing the tops down, bringing the tops down, bringing the tops down. We said, wait for it. You've got to do it. You've got to get that technical break of the neckline in the pale blue over there, which occurred, and then you were jettisoned out with that beautiful move. First impulse, second impulse, and third into a major pump out of that falling wedge, all within, we highlighted, all within a channel which, my friends, has broken as part and parcel of the events of today with great zeal and momentum. It has in fact broken the capping descending grind line of a channel that we said was the most bullish. We've said it in countless tweets. If I have to go and show you the tweet, I will do it. The most bullish pullback on Bitcoin I have seen. You must buy the break of the 25K on the downside to get a triggering surge to the upside, he says. Unsure of his adjectives at the moment. And so you have done, and you're straight back up through the 28K, which happens to be a localized target, which means if you only react to these videos in retrospect and chase pumps, you will probably buy a localized high where it might have a wee pullback. So be careful with timing. Timing matters. That is what we focus on in our community. The first link in the description below. Click it, book a call, costs nothing. You will get an offer. There's no hard sell at all, and 14 days in case we are not what we represented ourselves to be, or you don't understand, or it's not for you. No reason sought. So this was what was happening. Skidding in this channel, dropping. Of course, the FUD. You could see the buying wanted to come in. Hammer there, a quick rejection there, and then so much more extra FUD. There you go. Boom. That's the technical point, and you go. I'm going to take you in lower than daily so that you can see how that was called for us. So let's have a look. We're down onto the 4 hourly mark here. So right down, let's take it even to the 2 hour. What the hell? Let's get this, get into the skinny and the proper weeds of this. We highlighted that impulse was disproportionate. Inside the community. That's too big relative to this structure over here, which was grinding and threatening a down leg. Look at those grind lines, squeezy, that Japanesey, and boy she did, and the eyes did water, and so we went. And so if we have a look at that, we actually did just on the component, the fractal that was proportionate. We got a low call of 24,894, and you ended up with a 24,750, literally $144 away from the bottom. You traded a final spill, grind, pippy lower. That is such a wick, my friends. You weren't there for more than a second. That is an unbelievable bottom call. You had a flag. Look at this flag. What a beautiful flag that was set up, and that was the flush out candle. I think I might have referred to this last time, and look one way, go the other way, you just ran. Or it was an update I did to the community, I can't even remember. Proper technical run where you would have got the guys who had stops under that wick flushed out just perfectly with that one, and then smash the other way. Look one way, go the other way. Are we going down? No appetite for down. Smash you back up from where you came from, which was there, and plenty extra for change. So that is not a small body, and it's got a massive wick. It's a chronic rejection of lows. Follow through with momentum to break that legacy inverted funnel. You break key levels of significance with momentum. You smashed it up. That was the smallest of right shoulders you could have got with that neckline. See the interaction for a left shoulder there. That is the smallest of right shoulders. That is why you had a bit of hang time around here. You bounced around. The key 26,400. Then you started to get schizo, grind. Pumpermentals. Yes, we love that. Back in business, that target has now been run. That left shoulder with the tiniest of right shoulder right there with a inverted head all the way up to the 26,400 in a very irregular structure, it has to be said, has now performed to its target. That's right. And you could expect a little bit of a rest. You've just had a major move. Remember, this is still not full-blown pumpermentals. This is nibbling. So actually, on your XRP base, which was, by the way, the performer of the month, if we go to the heat maps, run it away, take him up to the monthly time frame, you can see that you've had an unbelievable month. The days are rolling actually a little bit, but if you have a look at that, you can see XRP was one of the best. All the others generally red. Only BTC now, only on account of what it's done in the last 3 days, we'll come to the Bitcoin dominance in a bit, is higher. So in actual fact, the best token for you to have been in over the course of the last 6 weeks that we've been talking about this has in fact been XRP. And in terms of more recently, the leader dominance call was Bitcoin. So you trade Bitcoin against your collateral of XRP, which is investment, which is going to do the big move, plus that one which will do even twice what XRP will do, that you can find out, by the way, by clicking the lower link below and joining our community or popping in for a non-farms payroll, which is a live trading day on the next Friday that cometh some weeks, first Friday of the month. Anyway, I digress. Great performance from Bitcoin on account of what it's done recently. So you'll see on the 7-day chart, if we look at the 7-day, Bitcoin is actually the boss, and crypto overall has actually turned, and XRP has actually had a bit of a rest. It's in the red. The others, the darkest, is 8.6. That's largely Bitcoin. So very strong performance from Bitcoin. And if we look at the 1 day, you can see 5% for 1 day. Well, that is super positive. And you can see XRP as the big leader of the month has actually been resting and slightly underperforming in the more recent day or two time frame. We'll come to that and we'll discuss that. So that's your heat map analysis. Beautiful, beautiful move. This is giving leverage trading profits again at a time that most people are not even open to the thought that we are back in bull territory. By the way, there are other structures. We've told you before that Ethereum will not be bad. Of course, ETH will have been giving up some ground to Bitcoin. So let's go to that Bitcoin dominance and just deal with that big one in the key charts that we've been highlighting regularly for you right here on this channel. Type 3, rising wedge, smash it up. Bigger type 3. Oh, running the 50%. There's your third impulse. First, second, and third. Look at the selling, the little long wicks, resting, come back support. There's your 3, there's your 2, there's your 1. Smashing up and actually hitting up for 50.77, a previous key level of significance for us. And of course, you are now larger than half the entire market cap of the crypto universe, friends. That is interesting. It should be interesting to you. It sure is interesting to me that we are now talking about half the crypto market cap. And why is that? We'll come back on that point right now. So 50.77 on that dominance. Let's head and see the bigger time frames on that dominance charts and remind you of all those levels that were picked off. We did say this was a different kind of move to the upside. Some of you may remember this bull flag over here. Weekly maybe a bit big. Let's take it to the 3-day. This regularly bottomed in and around the 39.5 in this big orange purple box. And we highlighted to you that actually every time you came up to approximately the 47.9, 48% mark, 47.5, you got rejected quite strongly by Bitcoin. Down, 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 down. Now we are seeing, again, the money's coming in for the long-standing store of value. The concern is debt markets, my friends. The concern is debt markets, something really interesting, and also interest payments. So while I'm doing a little sidebar on the fundamentals and mentioning the dollar currently looking weak, potential to go down, very bullish for the anti-fiat, particularly the crypto markets. Let's just highlight a couple of interesting tweets. Credit to actually Raoul on this one of Real Vision. This is interest payments. Interest payments going to look particularly weak. Note how the payments lag the debt roughly. So that's the correlation when you do it. So this is being pushed back in time. This is currently the amount of new balance sheets being raised, assets created. This is fiat proliferation, and you can see that roughly ties into that. It's been pulled back to make it correlate with the overall current expenditure on interest rates. So when you're creating debt, and you're monetizing, and then you have to suddenly pay interest on that debt, you end up in a situation that's parabolic, really. And that's going to be very bearish for the dollar, because what do you need? You need to proliferate, you need to dilute, you need to keep servicing the interest on the rates. They're not going to default. So that means more proliferation, and that is a potential cycle for weakness, further weakness in the dollar to come, probably 24 going into 25. And that's the point being made by that chart rather nicely. So that was quite an interesting one. What else do we have on other fundamental factoids while we are talking to you? There was this as well. Also, Raoul posted this in July, so it was just checking in with a couple of tweets. Hadn't seen him for a while, and occasionally some useful ones. This is actually old. This is from July 22. We are, of course, 23 would be roughly halfway mark, and we're now halfway through it. So we are already over here. And he was making the point, and that we've made many years before, that it's far more about macro and the loss of value of money than it is about the halvening cycle nowadays. The halvening cycle, we feel, was the big driver of supply in the early days of crypto. But once you become a big instrument that is trading in billions, 500 billions plus, you start to become a macro asset category. So global monetary, so that is M2, it's a form of measure of money supply, deviation from trend. So when you are increasing the money supply significantly over trend, that's the high side, its effect on the crypto total market cap, which is everything going into crypto. So it's not just Bitcoin, but of course Bitcoin's been the lion's share in this stage. It was still one of the biggest participants there, and then it fell to only 40%, 39s I was showing you on the dominance here. It's now back up to 50. So I would suggest that this white line is actually chopping along the lows and stayed low for a lot longer than people reckon. You can see something happen during the 2016 period. You still got a reduction in MT deviation. They're supposed to be actually tightening, and as a result this line has been bouncing around, but eventually, as we are starting to turn, I feel that we will be starting the new up cycle soon, and it will probably be backed up by the need to release further funds so that those interests can be paid, and other forms of stimulus as the economy is facing one of its steepest challenges with the tightening rates. So that's another chart just to bear in mind, not the most up to date, but it was an interesting correlation illustrating money supply and market cap of Bitcoin. So back to dominance we go. We highlighted that it's typical when you're at a key legacy structural area that you would pause for a while. You could pause and reverse, but most of the reversals were blow-offs here. You came with real momentum and you got smashed away each time in those pink boxes. And what we highlighted here is there was much more hang time up top here. Much more hang time. And of course, the big players, the whales, the BlackRocks, the Vanguards, will first invest where there is the liquidity. They will become the buyers. They will become the buyers where there is volume and liquidity. This is the great problem that the yuan, the ruble, and everything else has, is they don't yet have the depth of markets to compete with the dollar, in spite of the dollar in a terminal state of decline. They will in time build that. But in the meantime, the money chases into the liquidity. So here we go. We broke the 50% yesterday. We were notifying a number of people, apart from our community on the Twitter sphere, that this was a seminal event. This is the highest percentage of market cap since some time ago. People are forgetting that the last time Bitcoin was, in fact, the big 5-0, you were over here in April 21. April 21. That's quite some time ago, it feels to me anyway. It's over 2 years. So since then, Bitcoin has been here. This is actually good and positive for the establishment of a new bull. First Bitcoin runs. So this is more traditional. The honey badger gets the money. Why? More so. Last time we had ADA be a bit of an earlier runner. Well, why so much so Bitcoin this time? Because I think the big players are coming in for the liquidity. Who will be next? The liquidity will drop down to Ethereum, and we actually have a good structure on Ethereum. We'll cover that in a second. But first, understand, the long trading with some conservative leverage is being done by me on Bitcoin right now, with the collateral that will go up the most in my overall for the bull cycle opinion. So not only have I absolutely committed to this being a bull right now. Everything that it is doing is showing me it is a bull from the inverted head and shoulder. Let's have a look actually, while we're still talking Bitcoin, on a couple of the crosses that we are usually one of the very few guys to cover. So one of them is Bitcoin versus the NASDAQ. You've heard all about the AI and the NVIDIA story. That has been running and going and going and going. And of course, it felt like crypto has now become the bridesmaid at this wedding in terms of what's happening. But I'm here to show you that in actual fact, you broke that wedge some time ago, and you've had a retrace move back, which is quite typical. A retracing move back is quite typical, and it's my overall assessment that you are now making your way back up, and you have ceased to be in a downward move whilst the NASDAQ and all the fangs and favorites are pumping, and that in actual fact Bitcoin could start to overperform them, and that these last two candles may be the beginning of that after a distinct underperformance to the equity markets, particularly the tech equity markets as represented by the IXIC, which is essentially the NASDAQ. Okay, so you're bouncing after that pullback, so that is a good turn overall generally, and you're coming out of a falling wedge. What about gold, the good old binary world money? Well, it's also very positive there. That falling wedge over there you broke some time ago. You already had a return move. That was a right shoulder. So we're showing you a left shoulder ahead with a much shorter, sharper right shoulder that was over quicker. And in a very similar way to the dollar, you came back, and you have also broken that channel trend as well. If I take you to the daily and we just have a look at that on a little more closer basis, it is a key break. So Bitcoin now overperforming the analog money in terms of that, and we expect further upside. Where will it go? You can see. Now we've done Bitcoin by market cap divided by the gold price. So you can see these numbers might not make as much sense. 250 was the logical round number for that neckline. 400 up there represents quite a meaty move. That's around 60%, another 150 million. So of overperformance to gold in an environment where around about September, as we come back from August, I would expect to see gold start moving back up again. I'm not going to do a deep dive of gold analysis. You can get that again in our community. It's sitting on a holding level on top of a continuation capping descending grind line, having broken down itself. It's sitting there waiting and girding its loins for its next surge, and I expect that to happen after the summer breaks and the return around September-ish. So that is Bitcoin outperforming now and getting on its bike a little bit sooner. I'm not too sure what I've got here. That's not particularly useful chart. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is your long and it's your runner. Don't forget, on the dollar price that most of you understand, we have said and continue to assert that a 40,649 can be run as part of the inverted head and shoulder, but that is often part and parcel of a larger secular move. That is not a top call. That's the first stage target before potentially running the 42.5. You might have a blow off, do the 42.5 and the 47.5 in a major surge. I can't answer on that, how specifically that will happen, but we continue to assert the 40,000. Most others are still not convinced that this is a bull market. This is going to be a structural area of great significance, and that is in and around the right shoulder of the head and shoulder, one of the macro head and shoulders over here. And we expect that the midpoint, roughly running through the flag, diagonal to diagonal, is going to be quite seminal. But you could push through and you could meet any of these two blue numbers as well. That would be a super blow off if you made 47.5, but I think 42.5 is possible. But I would probably reduce leveraged positions at 46.49 anyway, by at least 50%, and then be quite judicious taking off. Does that mean the bull's over? No, it means I'll just have a better opportunity post a pullback to get back in long again. Some of the positions I will hold for a lot longer. I think we will get new highs potentially and take out that 69,000 in due course, but it's never a plain simple journey. Dollar is not in great shape at the moment broadly. It's only being beaten by the yen in terms of the majors, of being one of the worst currencies at this point in time. And in fact, the euro is getting a bit, and as I've highlighted before, a little bit of firmness in the euro has typically been good for Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the anti-dollar, and dollar down tends to be euro a little bit up. It's a funny correlation that exists for now during these interim markets. Okay, let's talk about ETH. ETH is in the next best ready to move shape. It is also significant in terms of its liquidity. And if we highlight for you over here, we have on smaller time frames. Let's drop it down to the smaller time frames and give it a little look. There you go. You've got a nice inverted head and shoulder break here as well. Plenty of little bullish signals right there. Nice triggering event. Came from quite deep. Can pull back and just run that neckline again before going higher. Don't forget, Bitcoin is already here and run its target. The ETH would be equivalent is 1904. So half a stage lower. If Bitcoin has a little bit of a retrace, you might be able to pick these up either by our funnel here that was broken. That was a beautiful little inverted that gave you targets to the downside. That was broken and clearly tested. And then we congested within the funnel range there before breaking higher. A little bit of a pullback indeed possible right now. I'm also leveraged long Ethereum. And I'll point out that FBTC is also pointing to potentially getting to a point where it will be a localized low. You'll see this pullback down. Let's get rid of our fancy art, the Picasso's there. That scenario cost didn't turn out okay. We had a little bit of a downside. We made it there. We thought, could there be a reversal? There wasn't. So that is on a small time frame. Small time frame structures generally are less reliable. But if we have a look at this overall, the current selling off is being driven by the Bitcoin strength, it must be said, but is part of a third structure in 3 in terms of our view. So super steep, church's steeple, grindy, bloated and lengthy, which is typical of second impulses. So that's 2 and 1. And you've got a bit of a falling wedge. There's a tiny amount of squeeze in this. You've had this long grinding line. We predicted that basing ascending grind line could have a downswing, and it's had quite a strong downswing. It looks like it's even got the momentum to run this low. So it could even come down here somewhere, depending how fast it's going. And then you want to look at upside. You want to have a look at upside over here for a break of this capping descending grind line. That in of itself will come a little later. So Bitcoin a bit stronger still, even for this to come lower, but in time will point to longer term bullish upside for ETH. So when we come out and we bottom somewhere down here and we break to the upside, we will probably then be ready to do something like this. And then we go. And go we shall go, and that will see ETH grow in dominance to in and around the 13%, which bear in mind, right now you are probably at 6.3. It's quite a brave call. It's a doubling of dominance for Ethereum. So there'll be a real catch up from ETH, but first a little bit lower and then we start a climb. A little bit lower and then we start a climb. We need a turning and a little bit lower. In the meantime, Bitcoin makes ground towards that 40,600 and is your early leverage play, slowly winding it down on the leverage and slowly rolling it into Ethereum will serve you very well. And then back in, you can even use your XRP collateral to later go long XRP when its third impulse is ready and ready to break, because its dominance will go from around 2.3s roughly to well over 8s. So that is quite substantial. That is a substantial, very interesting move. So there you have it, FBTC. That's our take on Ethereum. So its time is coming, but it is bouncing around a little bit, battling, as you can see over here. Nice squeeze, did break out, but having a little bit of a down leg. Most of this is Bitcoin, because if you go to that heat map, Ethereum is doing okay-ish relative to the other tokens generally. So ETH up 3, Binance 0.6. Most of these others, ETH is doing just dandy. It's just not keeping up with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's so big and so dominant, its effect is significant. Okay, so let's roll over to the XRP, because some people will be disappointed. XRP is still below 50 cents. It's an absolute gobble up steal at 50 cents, by the way. We will say that all the time in the world. This is minor league little pullbacks. I don't see you running down here to this low. In fact, I could even pull this up higher to there in terms of that. But it's just not particularly interesting right now. Unfortunately, your token doesn't get to be the star every day, every week, every month. You've just had one of the better months compared to everything else that was selling off. And now that things are moving, you're a little bit jaded. There might have been a bit of expectation of some news, but this structure in the whole is still in great shape. We expect to move up to the high side for RH3, a third high, through 72, maybe going up to 78, 79. You might get into the 80s even. So somewhere between the 70s and 80s, I think you should get a run through that. At some point, you might dip a little more and go up and then go. I think we've got a nice little potential squeeze growing there, but you go a bit quiet and a bit sleepy for a while once you're bottoming, and then you pop and run. So that could be a very good setup. Then you calm down again and get a little bit low and sleepy again, and then we start for real. The bull of all bulls, and you'll be back above $1, and I'm unlikely to see you going below $1 again, in my opinion, almost ever. That's it. That's going to be as much about fiat devaluation, by the way, as anything else. So other things will be moving, but you might be one of the strongest things. So this is a really big moment coming that will come. And this status token is going to win out because it's going to be at the fulcrum of many a thing. And you are basing, and you've shown that strength. Okay, so that's positivity on technical level for XRP. What else haven't I covered? Well, just to also illustrate that you can see these things also in the conglomerations of the total market caps. So if we go, let's just go to total 2, for example, and we have a look at that. Let's drop down on the lower time frames, and you see it. There's a clear cut, beautiful. This is about as clean an inverted head and shoulder. This is textbook good, basically. Proper spiller out of an inverted HVF there. Wow, overperformance, smash it down, bang. Oh, that just bounced on the $500 million mark. Fancy that. Key level of significance just run. One of the many rules of HVF method that you too can learn and implement. First link in the description below. Click, book a call, talk to a friendly investment friend looking to build wealth in reset times when the world's going to change. I'm afraid, guys, it's going to matter what resources you have. And that was such a good blast off from here. Again, that right shoulder not going as deep, which is showing and implying a bit of additional bullishness. Getting some nice momentum on the upside there when we kissed at this armpit 2 after making the armpit 1 there. And then we're smashing that triggering level. Now you've run into a legacy target moment. You could again, don't forget I mentioned this on ETH, and ETH's a big contribution to the total after Bitcoin. Bitcoin just made a target. ETH also looking a tiny bit tired. That could revisit the neckline on its inverted head and shoulder. You totally could see the total 2 come back a little bit, so you haven't necessarily missed the train. Don't be afraid. We don't forget, we're the guys that put you in on the right shoulder at 19.9. You didn't take it. We're the guys that said to you it's going to do a technical run of 25, trade the 24.8s. You probably didn't take it. I'm sitting to you again and saying the total 2's coming back down potentially for a little kiss maybe of the neckline. Maybe it won't go so far. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll go a little bit through. So somewhere in there is a great accumulation zone, which is essentially Bitcoin and Ethereum. Only in this sense, on this model, you will get a perfect structure. And where does that take total to? That takes total to 553 billion. Now that's interesting because you'll find that Bitcoin now is over $500 million. I think we $500 trillion. To get it straight, 500 billion. What is Bitcoin's market cap? 546. So this will take you towards a bit of maybe a bit of alt catch up. 546. That would take the alt to 553. But I would imagine Bitcoin would have plugged on quite some amount by then and could be already close to 600. But that would be a really interesting key level to break for total. A legacy funnel in here. A legacy funnel that you absolutely puked out of. That was a throw down. So a bit of a rest. Get over this line, so you probably run the red box line limit of 558, but then maybe pull back and then pull back for a bit and then languish for a while before next levels up. Okay, so there you have it. Total 2 confirming. By the way, Total 2 doesn't have Bitcoin in it. It's excluding Bitcoin. I think I might have said something to the contrary of that. Total 1, the primary one, is dominated by Bitcoin and is smashing up and has already passed that level. Total 3, this is slightly more disappointing and less bullish so far, excludes Ethereum, excludes Bitcoin, which again says it's in priority of market cap that this market is running, which is why we focused on the Bitcoin dominance. That's your tradable asset. I'm quite happy to be in the tokens that are going to run more early, because I don't want to have to be chasing in on FOMO, and I was happy with my entries. But this is more flag-like. Long run, it is also going to be bullish, but it is more slightly flag-like. I think we're getting a little bit of a squeeze break there, but it is less clear, obvious. You can't make this a head and shoulders. Why? Because that is not lower than that. So this spill did not follow through. This spill was too big. There wasn't enough zip left in the downside there. So the structure is slightly more kind of W bottom-ish. It's got a bit of a W there and maybe a third. It's a bit more messy, less pattern structure. Trade your best patterns. So Ethereum and Bitcoin are your trades, but don't jump in long now. Await pullbacks. We've given you an example on where the Ethereum might pull back to, and I've got orders waiting for that to add a little bit of extra size. In the meantime, you have to wait a little bit for your XRP. If we go to the XRP dominance, for example, which I will happily show you, and I'm glad to see Pulse Chain and PulseX also getting a little bit of a bid after quite a tough opening. You can see the XRP dominance is slipping post all events. So this was all the good stuff coming in. Now you have a natural pullback and you're making a new low here, and it's a little bit consistent. So you can take a while about bottoming, maybe bounce in and around our 2.27, having gone as high as 2.84 on dominance. But don't forget, in case you're losing the faith, people of ye of great or little faith, let me remind you what is in play here. So in time, this mover will move substantially. This mover will move substantially, in our opinion. So you might have made your third high there and had a pullback, but I think maybe this is marginally higher. It looks like you're going to have a reasonable turn down. So we'll churn a little bit. It's not tomorrow, it's not next week, but longer run, this could end up higher set, given that you've made that marginally higher high, and you could end up going beyond 6.2 by the time we're done doing these targets, because it's made a higher high than that. So it's crept a little higher. How low does it go? Anything higher than this low, which I think it will be, will end up giving you a further projection, maybe taking you closer towards that 640, that 650, 6.5%. By the way, and it's trading at 2.37. So in an overall market that will be expanding, the money flowing into XRP will be substantial. Isn't that interesting? I find it interesting. How about you? What do you say? So it hasn't gone away. It is your guy, but it's going to be a bit of an exhaustion there. The no SEC news is letting it leak out a little bit, giving the insiders plenty of opportunity, the politicians and all the priestly classes, a chance to stock up at the sub 50 cents. I think you should take that opportunity too. 47 cents, 44 cents, 45 cents, 46 cents. They will all be cheap when it trades at the likes of 16.4, $17. Those will all seem very, very cheap, in my opinion. Okay, that's it. That's what I've got for you. If you've enjoyed this particular, don't forget to give us a like, a share, hit the link in the description to book a call to join our community, how you can maximize. This is your last shot. I've said a few times, guys. It's a different world that we're coming out of this time. You need to come with big, heavy bags. You've got freedom to buy for yourself. You've got lifestyle to buy for yourself. You need to hang on to that. You need to maximize this game. You've got to roll from many things. You can take a lot of the growth from the beginning earlier so that you're carrying bigger money, the amount that compounds in your favor. If you are taking positive carry from Bitcoin moves early, later into Ethereum that you're then carrying into XRP with moderate leverage, that you're not blowing your stack, you're not doing anything that's giving you sleepless nights and your device strapped to your eye socket, you are actually enjoying your bull market cleverly, cautiously, with stops, real sizing, and moving as each stage advances. You will be able to maximize this and many other opportunities also on the traditional market fronts, by the way, not just on crypto. But anyway, enough from me. Thank you for watching. Hit the likes, give it a share. We appreciate that as currency. Catch you next time. Bye.